back for step 11. These little axle holder assemblers next. I've seen some people online not worry about the axle springs too much, but I'm going to put them in, and then maybe we'll run it before we put the axle brace on. Maybe we won't. We'll see how we go. But I'm going to build it as per the kit. So let's get these in, and then I'll show you what they look like once they're assembled. Go, nice and simple, no messing. So the screw holds the spring on, and then you have these temporary screws that you put in to the side just to compress that bit down there so it springs. And then once we put this on and we mount the gearbox onto the back, we remove those screws, and then it allows the sort of travel in the gearbox up and down. But that's where we're going to put the brace to stop it doing that. Okay, on to step number 12, mounting the gearbox. Here we go, gearbox mounted up. So what you can see is that we've put those axle holders onto the chassis, and then we've put the axle rod in, and then we've put that into the grooves, into the channels, and all that's left for me to do is remove those screws, release those springs, and that'll allow it to move up and down. And that axle brace that I've got is going to get onto there, and that there clips onto the battery holder and keeps it in place, stops it from moving up and down. We're not quite ready for that yet. On to the next step. Step 13, time to mount some shocks. Now, I'm not using the kit shocks, I'm using these from JKRC Direct. Some nice gold oil-filled dampers, so I'm going to check first of all. I think they need some oil inside them, so we're going to put some oil in. And then we're going to follow the well-printed instructions here on how to mount them up onto the chassis. I can strongly recommend these guys. Great kit, great products, and perfect delivery times. Right, let's go ahead and build up some dampers. I was incorrect. These dampers have got oil already pre-filled in them. So they are ready to go, ready to mount straight up onto the pumpkin. Let's get going. Well, that was a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be, but we've managed to get one mounted up. Little bracket that's screwed in at the bottom. Place the ball joint with the screw at the top, and we've got a oil-filled damper mounted. Right, one more to do the other side and we carry on. I got carried away and forgot to show you the parts before I made the servo arms up. I had to get the ruler out to make sure everything was exactly as per the measurements there in step 14. And we're just going to put together this bit over here, which is assembling the battery arms onto the battery holder. Just going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you those bits. So just before I go ahead and build this up, what I'm going to do is I've marked 2 little dots in there. I'm going to drill 2 tiny little pilot holes through there, and then mount this bracket onto the battery plate using just some Tamiya self-tapping screws to go back through there into those holes. So let's go ahead and do that and see how it looks. And the transmission brace is mounted, so it fits absolutely perfectly in between those 2 little ridges there. Next thing to do is just to finish up putting the battery mounts on the side of this, and then we'll get it mounted onto the chassis. There we go, all finished. Lovely bit of sponge tape to protect the battery, and then the other arm over here is mounted. That just swings open, allows you to put the battery in, and then just locks shut to keep it inside. Right, let's get it mounted onto the chassis. So there we go. Brace is on, battery mount is on, and then we put the servo arms on and mounted this front mount for the bumper, I believe. So we are on to step 16. We're ready to build up the steering arms now. So we've got everything laid out as always. I haven't bothered with the BA screws because they are for attaching the damper mounts, and I've already got mine assembled there, so I'm just going to use those instead. So let's get started. There we go. That's as far as we need to take these. So we've put the bracket on for the suspension. We've mounted the arms. They're ready for the servo arms to clip to. Wheels are going to mount on there. And those suspension arms are ready to go on. Right, let's get them mounted up. Front arms are on. Servo arms are attached. And then we've also mounted the bumper. Right. Part 16, step 16 rather. See you in a minute. Step 18 is going to be attaching these to the body. I'll go ahead and do that now. Just some advice when installing front custom dampers on a lunchbox chassis. Put these mounts in before you assemble the rest of it, and also consider mounting the bottom part of the shock before you attach the rest of it, because they were not as easy to put on as I thought they might have been, but they're on. One more to go. There we go. Rear and front shocks are on. Step 17, no, done. 18 done, on to 19. Step 19 was to just make sure that the toe angle was all correct. I think I've done that and made it all okay. And then I've just tidied up some of the electronics at the back as well. So we are ready now to put on the tyres and the wheels. Let's go. Wheels are on. Just mounted up the fronts. So got some of these lovely orange wheel nuts and then a couple of rubber shielded bearings on either side. We'll have this chassis almost finished. See you in a minute. There we go. Rear wheels on. Front wheels on. Chassis done. And what's really cool about the way these oil-filled shocks have gone is it's almost completely removed that camber issue at the front of the chassis. Look at that. Nice and straight. And there's plenty of suspension travel at the back. And plenty of suspension travel at the front. There we go. So, I mean, the wheels still buckle inwards a little bit when it moves up and down, but I'm never going to get rid of all that. But I'm quite excited to see how this moves around now when we get it out and start testing it. Next stage is getting the body mounted up, and I've got some lights to put in that now, which is going to be some good fun as well. See you on the next one. Welcome back. Final stages of my Midnight Pumpkin assembly. So what we're going to do now is build up all the stuff that goes on the body shell. Starting off with some of these lovely chrome parts. Right, let's get started. There we go, first step. Get that front grille mounted up. Look at all that chrome. It is a really nice looking car in the light. So there we go, we've mounted up the rear lights. We've mounted up the rear plate. Installed the windows. So what's left to do is to mount the light kit, which is going to go into the headlights at the front, and also put the decals on. Nearly there, guys. So, managed to get some headlights installed. Look at that. They came and worked really, really well. Attaching them's just up with masking tape at the moment. Just want to check it worked, but I'm really pleased with the way that's turned out. The holes are already there. Just poke the LEDs in, secured them with some tape. I think it looks pretty good. Just the decals to do now, guys, and we're finished.